Santana group sat on one side of the plane, Earth, Wind, and Fire sat on the other.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I saw Philip Bailey sitting there. I said, well, maybe I'll go over and say hi to him.
Yeah.
You know, I just think that would be the Christian thing to do.
Yeah.
So I went over and said hi to him. I had my Bible. And he said, well, what's that under your arm? I said, that's my Bible. He said, well, do you know anything about that book? I said, well, a little bit. He said, well, how would you like to teach us after the concerts?
No.
This is Philip's idea. I'm the one supposed to be asking them, right? And so every night after the concert, both groups would come back to my suite, and I would teach them out of the Bible. No. I didn't know that much myself, but I said, well, let's get into the book of John. Maybe that one will just kind of be self-explanatory. And it was great. So after that tour, Philip and two of the other guys, Andrew Woolfolk and Larry Dunn. Andrew, we just lost him last year, but they got saved. Wow. And so we came back, and Philip was idea again. He said, let's go get everybody else. And so we threw a concert at the Roxy on Sunset, and we had Philip, myself, Sarita, Stevie Wonder's wife, and Denise Williams. We were the entertainment for it. And so we just put it out. We called it Jesus at the Roxy. And
what
so
a night. What a night.
Everybody came in. Smokey, Donna Summers. There was just all of our buds came to this thing. And it's funny, when we gave the altar call, they put their wine down, they put the cigarettes out, and they stood up and receive Christ. Amen. So like you were saying, when you could create an atmosphere with Christ in it, oh man, people just get drawn into it.
Do you think anything is possible inside of Sin City, Las Vegas? I believe what God is doing is that he's bringing people together under the spirit of unity to display that anything and everything is possible through him. This is Las Vegas United.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us on Las Vegas United. My name is Sherelle Mendenhall. I'm your guest host for today, and I have the privilege of interviewing someone who is a music legend. His name is Leon. Leon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sherelle. Good to be here.
Yes. So, how did you get into music? How did you find out that you love to sing?
My God. I got snatched into this. It was kind of like grammar school. My grammar school teacher had this cardboard that she would bring in, and she'd put it in front of a kid each day, and it had piano keys painted on it. So she set it down in front of me one day, and I was looking at her. She jumped on the piano and started playing. I said, okay, well, I see she's using her left hand like this. Okay, she's doing this right. Okay, she split. Okay, she got up and moved the booty a little bit. I said, okay, she moved it. I said, so I did all those moves. And from that, she was able to tell that I had a gift. So she left the class and called my mama. Said, you got to start this boy in music. Wow. So then I started rehearsing at home, and next thing you know, I became, the entertainer at all the parties in the neighborhood. So
from what age? How old were you?
5.
You were 5 years old?
5 years old, man. She brought this, and it's funny because the piano, they put it up against the bay window in our home. Mm-hmm. And it was just a trip because I'm seeing the football go by. All my friends are playing football outside. So I'm trying to do, and then here comes the football. So and that was just a drag for me. But after months, those same kids would come in and they'd listen to me play, and they said, wow, that's really special, man. We can't do that. How you do that? So it just became a thing, and like I said, I just got kind of brought into music from that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's something God called you to since you were young.
Yes.
Were you always a Christian in that world, or was that something that came later?
Well, Mom was Baptist, Daddy was Methodist. So what they would do, they'd make us go to a different church every weekend. Oh. Yeah. So I jumped between Methodist and Baptist. And then when they didn't feel like going to church, they would send me down to the local Catholic church. So I ended up having a real overview of all the denominations. Yeah. They all kind of pretty much talk the same. You'd always hear about Jesus, you hear about Mary, you hear about the angels, all that sort of thing. So, but it didn't really become a personal thing to me until my daddy had me come and play piano at the Methodist church, because it was a smaller church like that. They didn't have a choir, and so we ended up starting a little youth choir, and man, that was fun. Mm-hmm. Oh man, and I take the songs and I twist them a little bit and give a little thing to it, like that. Of course, the pastor didn't like that so much because he was very learned in the way he would talk. When he get up and give his sermons, he would say, and he'd put endings on his words. Mm-hmm. This is all black church. We used to somebody using some slang every once in a while. This guy was just straight, but the music seemed to relax him a little bit, and so when he get up to preach, it set him up for the preach. But
as you go on this journey, in meeting God in music, because that world can eat you up.
Yes, it can. And it really did. I mean, I made so many mistakes just because there's just so much access. You know what I mean? When you get into anybody that's a boss or somebody that's in an upper kind of position, people look up to a person like that. And so the music is just that so much larger.
Right.
And so it really gets you in trouble. If you don't have some kind of constitution to keep your life a certain way, you can get dragged down. And a couple of times that happened to me. When Carlos Santana called, that's when
Carlos Santana.
The Carlos Santana. When he called, it was really strange for me. I thought it was a joke. I just said that there's no way he's calling me to come do anything. I was in L.A. with a little band I had down there. We were trying to break into the industry like that. And my manager said, well, Carlos Santana called today. I said, yeah. He said, why don't you come up and sing on an album? I said, oh, come on, man. Quit this. So anyway, I came up back to Bay Area where I was born and raised. He was over in Mill Valley at the time. And I think a lot of what he presented to me that day kind of opened up a door for spirituality for me. So we go down to his studio and we start to do all the hits, Oh Yeah, Come Over, and Gotta Change Your Evil Ways, and, Black Magic Woman, all those songs. And as I was singing, he said, okay, now this is good. The songs that you're singing are good and I enjoy it, but I really would like you to be the lead vocal for the band. I said, so when we just sing on the album? No. You said, I want you to be the lead vocalist for this group. So I had to catch my breath for a minute because it was just too surreal.
Yeah.
As I was leaving, I noticed over in the corner he had some incense going up. And I said, I wonder what that incense is about. And next thing I know, he's telling me about spiritual things. He said, well, I believe that's like prayers going up to God.
Wow.
I said, wow. I had never heard anybody in rock and roll talk about God. Because whenever you start to talk about God, it runs all the girls away. So, we don't bring up that subject matter, in the rock and roll. But at the same time, I'm dating this girl in San Francisco. Her brother is a church-going guy. So I said, oh, well, I'll go out with her. And then he just kept hitting me up every time I come to the house. Hey, you want to go to church with me? Nah, not this time. Maybe next week. Yeah. And so finally, over a period of time, he finally wore me down.
Yeah. And
so I ended up going to a Bible study with him. And it was just electric.
Wow.
I had heard some of those things from childhood, but they just didn't hit me that angle.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, man, I'm thinking about what my life is all about. We get back to his driveway. You have to picture this now. We're on the corner of Haight and Ashbury in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
It's, that's where the drugs are, everything. So I got my top down in my car, and he hits me up. He said, man, well, how'd you like to meet? And I said, the meeting was great. He said, well, how would you like to be saved? I said, man, I can't be saved. I mess up the whole kingdom. He said, no, you won't. Just pray with me. Yeah. You'll see God will make a change in your life. And so I'm sitting there in the car, and then next thing I know, he reaches over to grab my hand, and that was a little strange at first. But then, we started to pray, and just like he promised, something did start to change in my life. And it's funny because the top was down. This is 4th of July. So all the firecrackers are going off. So a lot of people say, well, I prayed, but I didn't see any explosions. I didn't see any fireworks. I saw fireworks. Wow. It was all over our head. So it was really like a real deal, kind of salvation for me. And so I obviously I went back to Santana, lit up, and wanted to turn the whole group around, in that direction. But it took a little while for some of them to kind of come across. But they all heard the message. Carlos especially, he heard the message, and I think his life changed dramatically after I came back from my salvation experience.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love, and I've even used it on other episodes, but just like, as for me and my house, we will be saved.
Yes.
And your house is also where you work.
Yes.
Where your sphere is. That's where you have the influence. And so you can have that declaration, so me and my street,
yes,
we're going to be saved. My entire street, I'm claiming for Jesus.
There you go.
My house, I'm claiming for Jesus. Everyone who comes into my house, I'm claiming for Jesus.
Preach, girl.
They're not coming in just for a meal or entertainment. entertainment. They're coming in to meet someone.
Yes, they are. Yes,
I had some people staying at my house the other day. They're actually musicians,
Okay.
and they were staying at my house, and they asked if they could stay an extra day because like, we all had dreams last night, God dreams, and like we just feel peace.
Wow.
We just feel peace, and it's so beautiful because I've actually prayed that people would come in and they would feel peace.
Yes,
they would feel His peace, not the one that's fleeting.
Yes,
but the one that just rests. And it takes away all the things so you can sit and you can create with God. You can just be, you can feel love, but just when you're at peace.
Yeah, that happened with some of the other musicians too. I think as we started to travel, the word kind of got out that, the Santana group had a couple of spiritual people in it.
Let's go.
And so,
Let's go.
And so we took Earth, Wind, and Fire over to Europe.
Yeah.
And of course, all the musicians think they're better than the other. So the Santana group sat on one side of the plane, Earth, Wind, and Fire sat on the other.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I saw Philip Bailey sitting. I said, well, maybe I'll go over and say hi to him.
Yeah.
I just think that would be the Christian thing to do.
Yeah.
So I went over and said hi to him. I had my Bible. And he said, well, what's that under your arm? I said, it's my Bible. He said, well, do you know anything about that book? I said, well, a little bit. He said, well, how would you like to teach us after the concerts?
No.
This is Philip's idea. I'm the one supposed to be asking them, right? And so every night after the concert, both groups would come back to my suite, and I would teach them out of the Bible. No. I didn't know that much myself, but I said, well, let's get into the book of John. Maybe that one will just kind of be self-explanatory. And it was great. So after that tour, Philip and two of the other guys, Andrew Woolfolk and Larry Dunn. Andrew, we just lost him last year, but they got saved. Wow. And so we came back, and Philip was idea again. He said, let's go get everybody else. And so we threw a concert at the Roxy on Sunset, and we had Philip, myself, Sarita, Stevie Wonder's wife, and Denise Williams. We were the entertainment for it. And so we just put it out. We called it Jesus at the Roxy. And
what a night. What a night.
Everybody came there. Smokey, Donna Summers. There was just all of our buds came to this thing. And it's funny, when we gave the altar call, they put their wine down, they put the cigarettes out, and they stood up and receive Christ.
Amen.
So like you were saying, when you could create an atmosphere with Christ in it, oh man, people just get drawn into it.
Yes.
And my musician friends said we need to do more on a consistent basis. So we started in Donna Summer's studio first with a Bible study at Thursday, and then we came over to my house. I was in Bel Air at the time.
Amen.
And so it was just really a neat thing to have them come to my house on Thursday nights and hear from God. So
that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It reminds me, I was speaking at a business conference, and at the end of the business conference, I was like, I don't even know if they do this here, but I just feel like God's calling me to do an altar call, at a business. But it was technically Christian, but almost everyone came forward.
Wow.
And so it was just, when you know who you are, you're a daughter, a son of the Most High.
Yes.
And I love the story where the one man that was healed, just upon healing, he went out and evangelized an entire region.
Yes,
just because he knew that part.
Yes.
And so just the power of God, the love of God, that he healed him, that he wants to heal more people. And it's not just my ailment. It's he heals your heart, he heals your sickness, he heals you. And so I just love that he'll use just that. If you know this, if you know the love of God, he'll use you.
Yes.
If you don't have to be like this theologian. He uses any
person
of us.
Yes.
Just say yes. Because I'm not going to be on a tour bus. I'm not going to be on a tour plane singing to anybody. It was only you that he could use in that space.
Sometimes people get disillusioned and they think everything that comes out of Christ in that kind of way, everything's positive, and it's you're going to get it, and don't worry about a thing. But there's another side of God that we sometimes don't talk about as much. And I only bring this up because I've had so many people come to the album table and they're just crying to me about things that have happened in their life, losses that they've had, just different financial woes that they've had. And at the album table, they just want to talk about those things. Yeah. And I just didn't quite get a lot of it. I pray with them like that. And then something happened to me a year and a half ago, I don't know if you know the group Toby Mac.
Of course I do.
But my son, Gabriel, has been in Toby since he began. They both were in DC Talk for a minute. And then when he left to go do his own show, he took Gabriel with him. So Gabe calls me about a year and a half ago, and he says, Dad, we've been out doing all these things. It's been wonderful, 22 years. I've been working with Toby, and we go all these places. I said, son, I'm so proud of you. I would always tell him that anyway. He said, but Dad, I got some bad news. I said, what? He said, well, I've just been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. I said, oh, man. He said, I just wanted you to know. He said, they're giving me 11 months to live. I said, son, no. Yeah. And so we start praying, and we had everybody, you know, K-Love and everybody. Toby at the concerts, he'd always, you know, have everybody to pray for Gabe. And then last March, I went out to be with him. He's in Nashville. So I went and spent some time with him the very last of March. And I said, well, maybe this new thing that they're coming up with is going to be healing for you. Mm-hmm. And so his eyes started to clear up, his liver cleared up, and I said, oh, thank you, Lord. It seemed like a God thing, you know. So this is the end of March. So I came back home, and I called him in April the 11th, and just wanted to find out how he was doing, how the new procedure was working. And he said, Dad, I can't talk right now. He said, I'll hit you back a little later. I said, okay. So on the 12th of April last year at about 3 a.m, he called, and I saw his phone, and I just picked it up. I said, hey, man, because musicians, we don't sleep, or old people, we don't sleep. So I just figured, you know, that he's calling me now. And so it was his mom, and he said, Gabe is with Jesus. Yeah. I said, what? And man, it just ripped my heart out. And I really went at God on this one, man, because I said, well, Lord, look, I've been serving you 50 years. Right. You know, my son has been serving you for at least 22. Yeah. And I just thought about it, and I said, well, I don't know how to take this. But I heard all the scriptures about, you know, he causes all things to work together for good. I'm trying to lean that direction in my thinking. My emotions are completely jacked up. I mean, everything in me is just, I got so much frustration and confusion. Yeah. And so, as it was, the Lord had me read through Job. Yeah. I said, oh, Lord, I know I'm not going to get a good thing from Job. Ain't nothing consoling coming out of Job. We got to the end of the book, and, you know, he just put it to me. He just said, you know, and I felt like God was talking to me straight up. And he just said, Leon, he said, where were you when I dropped the earth in the middle of the sky? Mm. You know, you're trying to counsel me. He said, where were you when I was making a shoreline for the ocean? He said, Leon, where were you when I made all these trillions of stars and I called them each by name? He said, where were you? You going to counsel me? I'm God. It was my breath inside of his lungs. I put the breath in his lungs. I took the breath back. I said, wow. He said, what you should do is thank me for the 42 years that you had with your son. Amen. Talk about him. Tell jokes about him. Tell the good things about, you know, the time you had with your son. Yeah. He said, I am God. And he said, I'm going to cause even this to work for your good. Yes. So now when people come to want to have prayer about something that's happened in their life, I understand now. Before I didn't understand. Now I understand. They're hurt. I can pray with them. In fact, Paul Lodato, he's going through some stuff with his mom right now, a friend of mine out of Florida, going through some stuff right now. And he came out here for a couple of days and he flew back midnight last night because his mom is just in that last stage. And, you know, we don't understand these things, but God understands, and he's the one that's going to console us. And for anybody that's going through that, Psalms 23 is the one. You know, he is our shepherd. You know, we're not going to go through any kind of thing without our shepherd. Our shepherd's going to be there. Yeah. And that's the one we lean on in this kind of time. So anyway, I'm just shouting this out because I know a lot of people go through stuff they may not understand it, but God has got us. He'll always wrap his arms around us in those times.
You're right. Yeah. I've actually gone through a lot my whole life. So I can empathize with them. I can, and, you know, losing. So you don't know my story, but my sister went missing almost 6 years ago. And we just found her body.
You just found her?
We had just found her body a little over a year ago.
Oh.
And, all the things like leading up to it, and that's just one. I could keep going on all the things that have happened throughout my life. And Jesus says he's the comforter.
Mm-hmm.
He has the promises. He says, that every good and perfect gift comes from above. So anything where the enemy comes to kill, steal, or destroy, he's come that we may have life and life more abundantly.
Yes.
So anything that's in that, he will turn it around for good.
Yes,
he did not cause it. Because every good and perfect gift, but anything, he will turn around. And so we do. Like, I get to talk about my sister. I get to talk about every impact she had on my life.
Yes.
And so you get to brag about your son. You get to brag this gift that God gave you. And
he was a good kid, man. One time I took him to sushi, and that green stuff. The wasabi. I told him it was ice cream.
Oh no!
Man, he went into that thing just like a big scoop.
Did he hate you?
Ran out there. He just jumped. Pew! He was gone. So whenever I think about him, I think whenever I go have sushi, I start laughing because.
Oh my God!
That was just one of those moments. But sweet kid though, man. Very articulate. Very, his music. He took care of all of Toby's stuff off stage.
Okay.
So I told him, I said, you can't just have one gig. You're like Jamaican, man. You got to have at least 5 gigs, man.
Okay.
They say you got 10 gigs. You lazy mom.
Oh wow!
You gotta have more than one. The Jamaicans, that's how they talk. But anyway, he covered a lot of things for Toby and was just a good kid. So we'll see him later. But it just does something to your heart, man. You never get over it. And I've counseled with so many people, and they all say the same thing. You never get over it. So. Anyway, I love him, and I'm so thankful that God allowed him in my life for the 42 years.
And what's beautiful is that God is able to turn that, like you said, turn that grief into something you can help others, because this world is temporal, and it gets our eyes focused on, guess what? He's with Jesus. He's in the good place. He's the one. He beat you there. He
sure
gets this,
That's right.
And so I think it's just that conversation, and now it's like I know all the people that I've lost that someday it's that looking forward to. Of being with them. It's beautiful. So you do a lot of things, Leon. You're not just a musician. You're doing film. You have a novel coming. I mean, and it doesn't seem like you're slowing down anytime soon.
No,
so
man. As long as I got breath in my lungs. Mom and Dad started this thing with foster kids. So we had foster kids in our home all the time. So when I got out of Santana, that's the first thing I wanted to do. So 85, I hooked up with the organization out of Sacramento called Koinonia Foster Homes. So we've been putting kids in homes for the last 40 years. So I got here to Vegas, and I noticed that there was just so much distraction going on. These kids are just into so much craziness. And so we started throwing our arms around the kids here and started an organization called S.I.N.G. Save and Inspire the Next Generation. So that's what we're doing now. And so we've done this movie based on one of the girls that everybody was really into the music at first, but then they started coming to me on the side, hey man, I want to talk about, being bullied and suicide and all this sort of thing. So the whole thing switched up to that now. So it got shut down, with the pandemic. But then I said, well, we got to Air Force this thing. So the movie, I think, is going to grab people from all over the country. I think that's what we're going to do with this movie. And we have one little scene where this girl goes through a suicidal attempt, and she has an out-of-body experience, and she goes into a place that anybody watches this movie, the kid's gonna go, I'm not gonna kill myself. I'm gonna go to that place. So we devised that especially for the movie, but it's called All In, and it's going to be something that's I think going to grab all the kids, and we're going to save so many from suicide just from this movie. So the novel is based on that as well. That'll be out probably about in another month or so. And but it's a good one. It's another story about me and my wife, how we met. She was a professional poker player, and here I am, a minister. And so we met on a cruise 31 years ago. And it's just so the whole story of, are these guys going to make it? This is, how can a minister fall in love with a poker player? That's not going to work. And me taking her to churches where I'm performing, what are they going to say about that? So all that sort of, so the story is intriguing, just how we wove our lives together. And then this story about Sue, who's in this movie. And it's just, I think it's going to be a great hug for the nation.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love those God stories because, you know, you think you have it all dreamed up and it's all going to be a certain way. And then he's like, let me just throw this in here, you know? And then it's part of the testimony. Because again, it's the same thing we just said about the fact that you're in a space where you can witness to other musicians that people who aren't in that space can't.
Yeah,
same thing for her.
That's right.
You
that's
know,
right.
Who's going to go to the poker table?
World. That's right.
Who's going to go minister to them?
Yeah,
Jesus wants them too.
Now we go out together doing this. You know, she's at the table. Of course, she's got another business she's doing, which kind of helps people. I know you heard about that patch thing, but anyway, it's something that helps heal. So they come for prayer. A lot of people that come, they'll get healed at the service, and then they'll come back and tell me, man, look, I took my blood, you know, look, I got a good number now. I think I'm through with diabetes. And then they go right out to Krispy Kreme.
Oh, gosh.
So I said, wait a minute now. Renee's job now is kind of take care of the horizontal. I got to take care of the vertical. She takes care of the horizontal. So we're kind of a good team.
That's
in
a
that
great
way.
team. That's a great job.
Yeah, so she's helping out.
You know, God gives us our partners, you know. Like I had a prophetic word over my life. And it was actually right after my husband and I got married. And he said, God knew what he was doing when he put the two of you together. Together you're going to be a 1-2 punch against the forces of darkness.
Yes.
And it's like the different strengths that each other has.
Yes.
He puts you together for a reason. I believe in kingdom marriage. I want more kingdom marriage because God is in it and he makes us better. Well, you know, man, time goes by so fast and I want to make sure that we have the opportunity to connect with you. So if you can, tell everyone where they can find you, how they can connect with you.
Okay, well, it's leonpatillo.org. Patillo, Patillo.org. Everything will pop up. Everything we're doing with the kids, everything that's happening with the novel, everything that's happening with the movie. It's called All In. And you'll see different people just come all in different parts of their life. Even this little girl that's suicidal, she came all in. That's what I'm hoping that people will do, that they will take Jesus and they'll go all in with the Lord. So anyway, just go to our website. Everything will pop up. Amen. And thank you so much, Sherelle, for having us today.
Absolutely. And what else? Before we leave, is there anything else you want to share with the people? Is there something on your heart you want to share with the people watching?
Well, I just would say the same thing. You know, the Lord is our shepherd. We shall not want. He makes us to lie down in green pastures. He leads us beside still waters. He is the one that restores our soul.
Yes.
So if you're going through any kind of issue, especially like I just shared about my son, he will restore your soul. He's going to get you around people that are going to be wonderful. I went and did a YWAM thing the next week after my son passed away, and they stood up and they danced with me through the whole thing as if I had thrown myself out in the audience, and it's like they were carrying me through the audience. They just sang and they danced with me through every song. There will be people around you that will be restorative to the issues that you're going through, and always lean on the Lord. He will never leave you or forsake you.
Amen.
Yeah.
I love those promises.
Yes.
There's so many promises in the Bible, and I also want to encourage people, and I keep going back to it, wherever you are, to be a minister, to be Jesus.
Yeah.
Because each one of us have different gifts.
Yes.
And if it wasn't for you, if it's not for your son, you can't minister in those places. Not everyone can minister in those different, so it's being Jesus exactly where you are. I think sometimes we try to separate our work from our ministry, or our work from our calling to be Jesus.
Yeah.
It's one and the same.
One and the same. Yeah. We have a little prayer that we do in the mornings, and it's not something I can say over here, but it's just one of those ones that kind of reset me in the morning, and so it's made me hungry for a morning time with my Lord. And if I miss doing that prayer in the morning, I feel my whole day is off.
Right, and so, it's such a good hunger. I love that hunger. It's like a hunger that satisfies but keeps you wanting more. It's like that excitement. It's like it's you're full but you're overfull, but then you want more, and it's a beautiful hunger. I know that hunger.
Yeah, and these days, of course, here in Vegas, it's so hot. I have to go out early in the morning to walk. So I have my time of walking in the early morning, and sometimes at night. If it's 7-8ish, somewhere like when the sun is down, I can go back out and walk.
When you're not going to die.
Yeah, right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Leon. You guys,
this
was such a treat. Thank you for joining us. Follow his journey. Find out about All In, which it seems like it has a couple plays on it. I'm not sure if it has a poker play, going all in, or going all in with Jesus. But thank you for joining us right here on Las Vegas United. See you soon.
Today's show was guest hosted by Sherelle Mendenhall. To connect with Sherelle online, visit her on social media at Sherelle Mendenhall. The guest this week is Leon Patillo. For more information, please visit leonpatillo.org or follow Leon at Leon Patillo. For more information about CTNVegas and our show, please visit ctnvegas.com.